In a quiet monastery nestled against the folds of misty mountains, there lived an old Zen master named Daisetsu. His teachings were simple, yet his silence often spoke louder than words. Students traveled from distant lands to learn from him, drawn by tales of his profound wisdom. But Daisetsu rarely gave direct answers. Instead, he offered koans, riddles designed not to be solved, but to dissolve the mind's usual patterns. One morning, as the golden fingers of dawn stretched across the monastery courtyard, Master Daisetsu gathered his disciples. Without a word, he held up a single lotus flower, its delicate petals trembling in the cool breeze. The students stared, puzzled, waiting for an explanation. No words came. Minutes passed in silence until a faint smile broke on the face of a young monk named Haru. His eyes shone with quiet understanding. Daisetsu nodded ever so slightly, then lowered the flower and dismissed the gathering. Whispers filled the monastery that day. What had Haru understood? Why had the master said nothing? Thus began Haru's journey, both revered and envied, as the one who had grasped the flower's silent teaching. Haru's newfound recognition brought neither pride nor peace. Instead, it weighed heavily upon him. Monks approached with questions he could not answer. They sought wisdom he felt unworthy to give. "What did you see, Haru?" they asked, voices tinged with hope and frustration. But how could he explain something that was not seen with the eyes or heard with the ears? One evening, unable to bear the restless thoughts, Haru approached Master Daisetsu. "Master," he said, bowing deeply, "I do not understand what I understood." Daisetsu chuckled softly, pouring tea into 2 cups. "When you hold a flower, do you ask it why it blooms?" Haru stared into his cup, the tea's surface reflecting the flickering lantern light. "No, master." "Then why ask yourself?" Daisetsu replied, sipping his tea. Haru pondered these words long into the night, realizing that understanding was not something to possess, but something to live. Years passed. Haru became a teacher, though he never claimed to be a master. His teachings were not grand sermons, but simple gestures, quiet observations, and sometimes a flower held silently in his hand. One day, a young woman named Aya arrived, her heart burdened with grief after losing her family to a devastating illness. She demanded answers, seeking solace in words. Haru listened without interruption. When she finished, tears drying on her cheeks, he picked a wild flower from the garden and placed it in her palm. Aya stared at the flower, confusion furrowing her brow. "Is this supposed to help me?" Haru smiled gently. "Hold it, see it, just that." Days turned into weeks. Aya tended the monastery garden, the flower long wilted but still vivid in her memory. Gradually, she found that her grief did not disappear, but transformed, woven into the fabric of her being like threads in a tapestry. She began to smile again, not because the pain had left, but because she no longer held it so tightly. As Haru grew older, his steps slowed, and his days became quieter. One crisp autumn morning, as crimson leaves danced in the wind, he gathered his students under the ancient cherry tree. He held up a single flower, just as Daisetsu had done years before. Silence fell, but this time no one strained for answers. Some smiled softly, others simply breathed, feeling the presence of the moment, whole and unbroken. Haru looked at them, his heart full. He set the flower down and whispered, "Nothing to add, nothing to take away." Then, closing his eyes, he breathed. His last, a peaceful smile lingering on his face. Epilogue. The story of the flower in hand spread beyond the monastery, not as a tale of enlightenment, but as a reminder. Wisdom is not in the words we chase, but in the spaces between them, in the silent bloom of a simple flower held without question. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and let me know your thoughts. And if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video.